And boom, we are live. Welcome everybody to Tokyo Tonight for this June 12th, 2016. Very good to have you along. I am tired, man. I've had such a long day today. I got some sunburn, I got some pink stuff. I have this Yorkshire complexion, as I have complained about before. That's interesting because according to the watch screen, it's showing up as an error when it's supposed to have gone live. I'm hoping that that is not an error for you guys. It definitely is showing that it is streaming for me, and it is indeed working. I can see it working, so very good to see you all. Very good to see all the gang along. It's been a crazy week. I've had a few crazy weeks, but it's been a particularly crazy week, and it's going to be a crazy week ahead, but crazy in a good way. Sir Lady, it goes better than Raisin Bran. Well, that's actually mentioned in the third line of Eat It by Weedle Yankovic. I know that because I had to teach it to the lad the other day when he wasn't eating his dinner, and now he likes it. So yes, we made it. Boom, we are on time. We are live and correct. Probably because I was so disorganized that, given that I kind of messed up everything leading up to this moment, it was nice. It kind of clicked in when I actually had to do the show at this point in time. Great to see, actually. So, and thank you again. Given that it was like, given the drama last night, it was a great show. It was really good to get Tia on last night because she is awesome. I've had a couple of coffees with her, and she was at the YouTube Hanami, and she's just kind of one of these sort of people that's just very approachable and easy to talk to, which is a good quality to be for a portrait-taking photographer. And yeah, I thought that was a really good show. Victor, of course, has a new sponsorship of sorts. What was it? It's Ninja Wi-Fi. You got some portable Wi-Fi thing that actually went up to the shrine. I quite like my background. I like this setup. I couldn't do this outside of here, but at the same time, I am self-conscious about noise. It's late at night. I get complaints sometimes. So yeah, actually the merit of what he was doing going up to the shrine, plus just being out and about and in Japan and whatnot, it's all kind of cool. So I thought that worked out pretty well last night in the end, in spite of the 20-minute serious technical issues that happened. Olivia, definitely salted. I don't know, for me it's like, if I'm going to drink Coke, which I don't drink Coke, but if I'm going to drink Coke, or if I'm going to eat butter, I don't want the low-fat version, or the NutraSweet, or the diet version, or, you know, if I'm going to have it the way it was supposed to be. Butter's supposed to have salt in it, so in my book, if you ask for my opinion on that very important butter-related subject, I would say definitely salted. Thank you for asking. So anyway, it's been a good week this week. I've been running around with some crazy stuff. I've been working out, I suppose I should say. I've been working out pretty regularly. I'm the fittest I've probably been in my life, which is cool. I'm so fit that I actually got talked into doing a sparring match against well, I don't think he's active anymore, but he's a former proper fighter. And I just about got knocked out. I got my ass properly kicked, but it was that was really cool. I mean, I'm not going to do that because I gotta keep this or what's left of it in reasonable tact. But it was so much fun. So I am enjoying the punching and kicking stuff. That was cool. I am also had a great time this week connecting with a bunch of people. It was very good to see Ben Duncan, who I see is in the comments here. Very good to connect with you this week for the first time in a while, and especially to follow your hey, well, Mr. Cordy Chip, I'm talking NutraSweet because I won't drink anything with it in. I don't trust that shit. Very good to see Ben, and also to sort of see your progress in Japan, and it seems to be going pretty well. Ben's a guy who's got his head screwed on pretty straight, in spite of the things he says in the comments almost every show. And I also caught up with internationally me, fellow New Zealander, Angela. She is pretty cool. We went and hung out at an Oktoberfest, and caught up, and that was really cool as well. So I don't know if she's watching, but that was very good. Stormtrooper 109, good to have you along, Stormtrooper 109. So yeah, I don't know, I had a few good catch-ups. I also had one really exciting sort of connection this way. Oh yeah, they're all exciting connections, of course, but one particular, I'm a big fan of Anna Fifield, another New Zealander who's on Twitter. She's the Washington Post correspondent for Korea and Japan. She's based in Japan, but she's clearly a very knowledgeable Korean speaker and knowledgeable about Korea. And she, even went over to North Korea and did a special sort of, did fantastic how she did everything with like live tweets and Periscope, and kind of really did it well. And yeah, it was. So she's someone who I kind of admire, and you know, she's a New Zealander, so as a nationalist, I have to support her anyway. But I connected with her briefly this week, and I'm hoping to actually catch her for coffee sometime. It'd be really cool if we could get her to a half Oyajis, or even something. Given that she's kind of classy, even something with Steve Miller. I mentioned him as well. He's doing so well with Voice of America. And it'd be kind of cool to revive What's Up Asia, and to get someone like Anna Fifield on would just like be mind-blowingly good. I got to chat with her, and being New Zealand, I instantly recognized, oh, she must know that person who's the sister of one of my best friends from high school. And she does. So it's New Zealand, we're all related to each other. But that was really, really cool anyway. So, and you should follow Anna Fifield, by the way, if you're interested in anything to do with Japan or this part of the world, North Korea, Korea, even China and stuff like that. She's a fantastic writer and correspondent for the Washington Post. She's a bit of a Twitter superstar. I mean, she really is one of the big Japan accounts to follow. And yeah, I'm hoping I might be able to connect with her in the near future. Anyway, that would be really, really cool. While we're doing the announcements as well, I must also mention the yes, I think you are Frankenstein. I also got to mention this Friday, June 17th, is the YouTube Happy Hour. There is still time to register. I should have put a link in under the video. In fact, you know what? I'm going to do that right now. I don't often stop and do things live because I know it's disruptive. But there again, I know that you guys are all talking to each other in the comments and not really paying much attention to me anyway. So I'm going to do this as a one-off. YouTube space Tokyo Creator Day Happy Hour. I should really be searching for this in Japanese because it's a Japanese registration site. But Events Tokyo, come on. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. YouTube space Tokyo. So with events, jump to month. You know, the YouTube space page does not seem to be working. It's not available. Well, fine, switch it to Japanese. I'm cool with that. Okay, I'm switching it to Japanese. And it's got the YouTube space, but it's not showing events properly. Come on. Let me quickly event page. And oh, this is it. I think. That's not it. Yeah, I wish YouTube would make this easier to to navigate to the correct page. But 1 minute, let me get this, and I'll put this in the video information if I can just pull it up. So it's got women's stuff. It's got I know how to get this. I'll get this from my Facebook. So yeah, I have got, by the way, if you're on my Facebook, facebook.com Hikosaemon, I do have an event page where I've also listed up for this Friday, June 17th, and it's got the link to the oh, good evening, Laura, good to see you. It's got a link to the registration page, which I will now pull up from there. That's right, I have my creator event this Friday, and the link for it, or actually even easier, my YouTube event page with all the information is right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to update the video information so that all that you guys have to do, the link for the happy hour is in the video information. So if you just refresh the video now, you can see all the video information. It's right at the top. Corey Sloan, good to see you. And from Florida, yeah, well man, Florida's been in the news for all the wrong reasons, although, yeah, if I have time I might even go into that, but very good to see you, Corey Sloan, and very glad to see that you appear to be well. Temiko L, kia ora, good to see you, and by the way, I did appreciate the aloha there from Tai in the comments before the video started, because as a fellow Polynesian, or at least Pacific Islander, yeah, that's a cool thing. So yes, I'm going to mention about the event again. The event will be in Japanese, so you have to have some functional ability to speak, to converse with people in Japan, which I would hope if you are able to attend the event, you'd be able to at least talk about being a YouTuber and making videos. That picture right there, this is the equipment. So there are going to be two sort of activities. It's going to be, of course, drinks and snacks and mingling and socializing. The problem is, and I've had this described to me by somebody who's actually someone in the industry that supports YouTubers, who says you get a bunch of YouTubers, particularly in Japan, and anyone who's been to the regular happy hours can maybe attest to this. The average YouTuber in Japan is kind of Asperger's. They're a little bit I think they said autistic. They actually went all the way. They kind of huddle and stand by themselves, and the gaijins are terrible as well. The gaijins huddle and have gaijin huddles, and nobody. These are meant to be networking events, and they never really network. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab people and shake them until they network. And the way that I'm going to do that is, based on my understanding of YouTubers, we like cameras and toys, and so I will get out all the toys that make YouTubers kind of hot and excited, which unfortunately are all cameras and gimmick cameras, and nothing more interesting than that. I went and talked with YouTube Space people, and I said, what are your most interesting and really easy to point and click use cameras that you can borrow from the space? You have to have more than 5,000 subscribers to actually book the space and the equipment. But for the people who are attending between 1,000 and 10,000, well, it's incentive for the people in the bottom half and a newfound entitlement for the people in the top half of the attendees of the event. I'm going to have a group activity first of all, where people will spend an hour in an assigned group of people who will be very different from themselves, where you will have to become friends. You'll be allowed to drink and brainstorm, but not holding the equipment. There'll be an area around the kitchen where you'll be able to drink, and you'll be assigned a group. Your group will be assigned either the first person Doom camera, as I like to call it, the first person sort of shooter type camera. They have a lot of referees use there. That's the one in the middle, the Panasonic head mounted camera. You've got the tabletop 4K 360 panoramic camera from Kodak. You've got the full spherical camera in the back there, the standing up bar thing, which is the Ricoh Theta. We've also got the Steadicam, a GoPro on a battery-powered Steadicam Feiyu, which I've always wanted one of those things, and so I was actually having a lot of fun just testing that out myself. It works. So what would you do, like if you had to make a 60-second Steadicam shot, and you've been drinking alcohol with a bunch of autistic people? It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and that'll be the first activity. Then there'll be like random drinking and stuff like that, and then there will be a group discussion where again we'll have the tables do different discussions, different groups, and finally we'll open it up. And the whole idea is that I find when you talk about things like collaborations, technology, tips and tricks, monetization, all these sorts of things that YouTubers really care about, branding and all that sort of stuff, the YouTubers tend to have the best experiences and information about this stuff. And so rather than lecture at the YouTubers, and I know that some of the other events are, I know somebody who attended some of the other events, and they've said they're a little bit like fan fests. Fortunately not going to happen with me, because I appreciate all of you people, but I'm never going to have a fan fest. But that's good. It means we're going to have a conversation about this YouTubing hobby that we enjoy. I'm going to try to have that and enable that with as many people as possible, and we'll see how it goes. It's going to be kind of workshop-ish, but I will make sure it is fun. There will be toys, there will be giveaways, there will be alcohol, and there will be enforced networking. It'll be like a gokon where you actually have to marry the people at the end of it. So there's like zero failure will be permitted as an outcome. In fact, it's like one of those mass weddings. That's pretty much how I'm going to run it. So if you are interested, the registration information is in the bottom. We are still taking registrations, the number and everything. I'm going to go onto YouTube and check the numbers and everything, probably in this week just before it goes ahead, so that we can make, just sort out how it's all going to work. The YouTube people have been fantastic with allowing me to implement the plan for how I want to run this as the organizer of this particular one. And my kind of unique, but I think it's going to work program. So it's going to be awesome. Anyway, and if you are in Tokyo, Internationally Me is here. Good to see you, and I very much enjoyed hanging out with you the other day. So Internationally Me, she's cool. She's a Kiwi. Go subscribe to her. She makes better videos than me, so you should do that. So yeah, it's going to be totally sweet, and I'll be there. And if that won't attract you, there'll be lots of cool camera equipment there which you'll be allowed to use. As well as enforced networking. So, register. And you know what? If there are people who are not comfortable with the speaking Japanese part, and there are enough of you, I will talk with YouTube about maybe doing an international happy hour, maybe in the future as well. I'll put that on the schedule. But this is for all YouTubers. And, I want to get away from the kind of high school cliques, including the Gaijin exchange student clique. If you're talking about high school cafeterias, that's never good when the people who don't speak English are huddling and not making friends with people, right? Well, that's what Gaijin YouTubers are at the freaking happy hour. So no, you're gonna get out and date the cheerleaders. That's pretty much what I'm gonna make sure happens. So if that didn't get you all excited for the happy hour this week, I don't know what else I can do, but the information is below, and yeah, register. And if you don't meet the criteria, let me know. Register anyway, or go along as a guest of one of the registered people, because that's a way that you seem to be able to do it. But also, drop me a word, and I can always put a word in if it's like, well, at least if you're able to attend and you're worried that there's an issue about not having enough subscribers or something like that. Anyway, we'll see. And I can't guarantee anything, and there will be multiple events of these. So if it's not this one, there might be another one. But anyway, information below. Talked enough about that. But it will be super awesome, and I just would love to see lots of you beautiful people there. Anyway, and bear in mind as well, if you don't make it to this one, I'm going to be holding a Creator Day event on September 3rd, and there will be, I'll probably get to host about 2 or 3 more of these happy hours. Maybe, I don't know, if this is successful, who knows, there might be more than that. The point is, this isn't the last one either. So, yeah, to me it's really exciting, because I have given very constructively phrased criticism about the happy hours for a long time, and it was actually as a result of, again, I'm very careful to be very constructive about this, but they actually invited me, and I'm definitely, I think, the smallest channel hosting one of these. But I think that the result of me being the smallest, the least celebrity-like person hosting one of these means that it makes me passionate about making sure that it's an event which works for the participants, not for meeting me, but for being something where you actually get to connect, which is what these things I've always thought should be. Right, I am totally Gambataru. I'm showing my Gambaru spirit, and yes, please don't leave me alone there. It'll be too sad. I need to make a Japanese promotion video for this as well, which is something I need to rush to as well. Yeah, that's the one thing I haven't really been able to do. It's been crazy. You wouldn't believe the stuff that's been going on. It's good stuff. But anyway, we should get into the topics. Oh man, and this is I hate that this is the first thing that comes up based on. Okay, well, I'll mention this briefly. It's going to be either Trump or Clinton, and I like Bernie Sanders. I really do. I think he seems like, I love the Curb Your Enthusiasm thing that Larry David did of him and so on. He seems like a nice man. But let's face it, I think the people who have been really railing against Hillary until now are going to have to decide. They are either going to support her, or they are not going to support her, either by voting for Trump or not voting, which is going to be constructively, or voting for someone else, all options of which are constructively allowing Trump to win. And if you want Trump to win, power to you. I know people who want Trump to win who I consider to be not insane. I thought America. Seriously, I would say that if he wins, that America will come to an end. But it already did actually when W got in the second time. The first time I could understand, but I couldn't understand the second time. And I don't want to talk American politics. It's not politics. Seriously, honestly, Clinton to me is the same as a Republican. That's the whole thing. That's why all the Bernie fans can't stand her, because she's big business and pro-lobbyist and all that sort of stuff. Which is, she is quintessential establishment. She could be running for either party. There wouldn't be any difference. I'm sorry, I know a lot of her fans won't like that, but that's as an outsider looking in. It's not political. I don't give a shit about Republicans or Democrats. But, when you're talking about sanity or, ending the world on a pro wrestling, WrestleMania script, I would prefer to go to the normal depressing old shit myself. So yes, anyway, I won't talk more about, why did I even put that in there actually? Never mind. And yeah, Gary Johnson, Ron Paul, John Nader, Ross Perot, every single one of those, everyone who voted for Nader, Nader lost the election for Gore. If Nader hadn't run, Gore would have beaten W. Bush. Likewise, Clinton would never have become president if Ross Perot hadn't run. It's going to be interesting to see who the Libertarian Party voters are going to come from, but I would think most of them would be, well, they could be Republicans who can't bring themselves to vote for Trump, but I don't know. It's a two-candidate system, the US system. Voting for a third party is basically voting to sabotage whatever your second choice would have been. It's completely pointless in America, and actually destructive, and the opposite of what you would be trying to achieve. It's a guilt-free way of voting for Trump, I suppose, if you're voting for a third-party candidate, but that's how American democracy works. Anyway, I'm going to finish that, but it is interesting. Like, it's done. The super delegates are going to vote for who they're going to vote for. Hillary won California, so it's sad. But I think you've got like another how long before the election anyway to get used to the reality. But yeah, it is the reality now, and I'd just like to fast forward and for it all to be over now. Anyway, this was interesting. This is from the very start of the week. There was a scheduled hate demonstration in Kawasaki, which for the first time ever, publicly, the Kawasaki City Council said when they applied for a permit to use a public park for a hate demonstration, specifically for a demonstration about the fact that a person of Korean heritage, a non-Japanese citizen, but probably born in Japan, was allowed to be the manager of an elderly home that was partially funded by the Kanagawa government, and basically a far right wing group wanted to protest that a Korean would be allowed the responsibility of managing public money, running an elderly home. And this small group of about 50 people wanted to hold a protest basically about saying that Koreans shouldn't be allowed any sort of jobs. And the Kawasaki government, in their infinite wisdom, said, well, that looks like a hate speech demonstration, and under the recently passed hate speech law, which makes hate speech speech, free speech, but speech directed in a negative way, specifically based on ethnicity towards a specific race, that looks illegal. Now, the law itself, it's nice that Japan finally has a law actually saying that racist hate speech itself is illegal, like most countries actually have, and I know there's a lot of people who say any speech should be okay. But when you're really on the receiving end and you've really seen what these marches are like, and these are early 1930s brown shirt marches, like through Jewish neighborhoods type marches, and what they're saying all, whatever race should die type of really nasty shit. And no, that's not illegal, that's assault, actually. I mean, that is just, I don't know why they haven't just used assault legislation. If you are using verbal threats and make someone think that you're trying to, or trying to use verbal communications to actually intimidate someone or harm them mentally, yeah, you can totally use assault. But no, now there's a law for it. The only thing is that the law itself doesn't have penalties. But it was funny. What happened with this protest was, one, hundreds of people, counter-protesters, showed up to confront. When they didn't get to use this park, they started instead they used a non-public, at least somewhere they didn't need a permit. They tried to arrange a march somewhere else, but they were confronted with hundreds of people, counter-protesters. A lot of the counter-protesters were clearly, including one of the march leaders, had a Korean name, so clearly a lot of the sort of Zainichi groups decided to come and do this, but I'm sure a lot of the probably mainly left-wing groups are very famous for aligning with the Zainichi groups and so on, but they organized and they came out and they completely sort of drowned out, and they're all waving placards saying, hey bozos, hate speech is illegal now. And they took comments from the crowd, and there's a lot of news conference coverage of it, and they were usually the police would protect these groups and hold back the counter-protesters and allow them to march. The police told the marchers that, well, they think that there's going to be a public safety issue. And ASOGLF, you are indeed live on YouTube, and your face and comments are there. So there you go. You are now famous with my. How many people? According to that, 0 people. I think more than 0 people are watching this. Not that I care that much. How many people we got watching? Because I'll tell you how many people you're famous in front of. Currently, what do we got here? Where can I get the current number of viewers? Just for shits and giggles, how many people are watching? Sorry, that was a total squirrel incident, wasn't that? That was just complete distraction. 51, you're famous in front of 51 people, SOGLF. Congrats, welcome to the long tail end of the internet. So anyway, coming back to the hate speech story, they shut down, the marchers themselves decided not to march, which was probably a good idea. It was interesting how the protesters were empowered by the anti-hate speech law. A lot of people said, however, that the law is flawed because there are no actual penalties under it, and that raises a question: can police actually detain the marchers when they don't have any power to actually arrest or charge people with a crime for it, even if it's actually technically illegal? Yeah, it all worked out. It was interesting. It was a real sort of test case. And this brings me to the title of the video, and there's a couple of other stories I'm going to cover tonight. For all of the, particularly led by the, and I would say pretty liberally focused, definitely not center of Japanese political spectrum focused, definitely the foreign media, in Japan generally takes and hell, I mean, I take an anti-LDP view, but I do notice when the foreign media is broadcasting about Japan, in a very different way to the way that domestic media covers, the same events. There's been a pretty consistent, very strong anti-Abe streak in the foreign coverage. Pleading in, some people outright, some journalists outright on social media calling him the next Hitler, just about over and over and over again. And a lot of people, they'll never change their view. But again, I just want to throw this out there as just something to consider. Abe posted, for someone who's the next Hitler, he actually enacted and passed the first ever anti-hate speech legislation that actually makes racist speech illegal. He's overseen the biggest boost of the rise in tourism and foreign tourists and foreign residents in Japan ever. He's seen the biggest liberalization and overhaul of the immigration system to allow a crazy number of new workers in new work categories. Which of course Japan needs. As we all know, this is all stuff that Japan needs anyway, and he hasn't campaigned on it publicly. Publicly he said, I don't think we need more foreigners. But he's been signing off on laws which make him the most gaijin-friendly leader ever. And Japan has had socialist prime ministers, we've had the Democrats, we've had Naoto Kan, we've had Murayama, we've had crazy, gaijin-hugging, lefties who... And I don't like Khan. Khan's not a good example. I was okay with Hatoyama just because I was okay with the group behind him. He's a fuck up. I'm sorry, but for all of the ideas that the LDP are this right wing Nihon Kaigi nationalist bring back World War II group, Abe's got a track record which stands up as being in many ways very liberal, and I am interested to see if he's ever going to be given objective credit for it. As I'm going to raise in other stories here, which will talk about how much easier it's getting to get different sorts of visas and different opportunities to come and work in Japan like never before. I mean, it's crazy. And how gaijin-friendly, how foreign-friendly Japan has become, particularly just in the last 5 or 6 years. Like crazy, since just before the Olympics, the way that they've, wholesale changes to the way that they accept tourists. The number of Chinese tourists and the number of Chinese residents have gone crazy. And this has all been part of deliberate government policy. So, applause on this law which enabled this very interesting incident to happen the other day, and all the other stuff which I'm going to talk about throughout the broadcast. I'm just posting this because I just like this. This is somebody who, I'm guessing this is a cafeteria or a restaurant, and they posted a notice in the window notifying, I'm assuming, customers. Maybe they're not customers. Maybe this is like a work site and they have to eat the soup, and maybe they only have one item on the menu and it's soup. And they don't have, maybe they didn't have a backup, and they just felt a sense of moral obligation to let everybody know. Today, the right-hand side of that character is a polite term for today, honjitsu. And the 6 characters there are soup. The first is katakana. Most of you can probably read that, soup. The final 3 characters, that's it. A complete fuck up, total disaster. Today, the soup is a total disaster. And by the way, Sakori Chip, I'm not an Abe convert. I'm just a contrarian. I just like to point out when everybody's like going in the same direction, saying we should all buy Volvos. I'll say, well, what about that Peugeot over there? I might not actually even want a Peugeot myself. I'm not an Abe fan at all. But it's kind of funny. Everyone keeps talking Volvo, and I'm like, well, the Peugeot has airbags that aren't made by Takata. I don't know. That's me. I'm and as you all know, I'm trained to be a lawyer, so I just disagree with people for sport. That's part of my antisocial nature. But seriously, I think people, need to put all sides forth. I love people who put different perspectives and balanced views on all this stuff. And there are views about Abe that I don't see coming out, which give people really weird ideas. And credit where credit's due. Even it's like what I mentioned about the Hanami last year. Even if Hitler was organizing the party, if it was a good party, I would say Hitler really disagreed with you on a lot of things, but good party, credit. And not that I'm saying Abe's Hitler. I think he's actually, I'm going to give him credit. Anyway, this is just very sad, just because the soup daishipai. I do respect the sense that somebody. 071, I'm very sorry to hear that. That's what you get for going near Australia, where pretty much everything will eat your baby. I just feel this is a moment in time. It's really nice about Japan. I don't know anywhere else that would actually put a sign up in a window warning everybody that the soup that they're serving is just a complete disaster. I think it's very nice. This is the equipment. Hey Glennis, good to see you there. I am not your mum, I'm pretty sure. I'll take a blood test to prove it. pretty sure the blood test will show I cannot be your mum. And by the way, yeah, and you spelled mum wrong, but that's okay because I'm a minority. So this is the stuff I mentioned before, the toys, the equipment which we've got. Oh yeah, this is the G7X. I've got a couple of those. It's like a regular point and shoot selfie camera, but it's pretty much a go-to, I would say, YouTuber starter camera. A lot of people I know use it and endorse it and recommend it as a good starting point and shoot. That is a Ricoh Theta, so another group will have that to shoot with. That is the Kodak 364K camera. That is the head-mounted. This is actually maybe the most interesting one. Actually, I love to do a referee. I referee rugby sometimes, and on pro games they actually use that now, and I think that's super cool. And that is the Feiyun GoPro. That is a battery-powered stabilization mount. So it's like, you know, the Star Wars Steadicam speeder bike shots and stuff like that. Again, I don't know what you do with alcohol in this space, but anything is possible, you know. So that is what will be there. So go and register. Link is below. You know, all that good stuff is there. Another episode this week, episode 3 of The Joy of Japanese Business. Recorded a new season, as I mentioned last week, of and Glenn, oh, she's a lawyer. Well, there you go. Well, maybe I am your mum. It's possible. It's possible. Joy of Japanese Business. Great episode again. And the subject, I think, was from John Clemens. I might be wrong about that actually this week, but it was a good episode. The intro music was from Perry Tune, another member of the Tokyo Digital crew. That was good. And yeah, this was a good show. And we have 8 more episodes of this season. Plus, we have a whole recorded new season, which as of this moment is still on these. It's on these compact flash cards that I will never use borrowed memory cards ever again. With the space pro tip, don't use the media that they offer you, take your own. And so we've got another season coming after that, and we're already actually, and that reminds me, I've got to get back to Rochelle. She even was pinging me about ideas for season 5. So we're rocking along. Plus, as I mentioned before, I rocked along the other week to the Working Effectively Japanese seminar run by Rochelle in Tokyo, and it was good. I mean, I'm true, I probably wouldn't say otherwise anyway, but it was actually really good. It took me aback that the people there were from such a diverse range of backgrounds. I thought I had a pretty good overall knowledge, but I learned a lot myself. I took a lot of experiences that were like, whoa, that is a really interesting perspective. So if you can imagine the joy of Japanese business where you get to participate in it, and in a group of like a bunch of people like me, except, you know, people who have been in HR, people who have been in sales, people who have been in supply chain, people who, you know, take people to court and make them cry for, you know, irrational reasons, all types of angles on Japan. So yeah, it was super awesome anyway, and we will continue showing you a little bit of what that's like just between Rochelle and I on the series. That was a really good one anyway. This was funny, this gave me a laugh. Dentsu, I've mentioned Dentsu before. Dentsu is the advertising company in Japan, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Hiko, your English has deteriorated so much after being in Japan for so long that you are misplacing your prepositions, because Dentsu is supposed to be a advertising company, not the advertising company, because that would imply that there's only one advertising company in Japan. Funny story, I meant to use the. I know what I'm saying. Dentsu is basically like a monopoly. Other advertising companies do exist. There are probably a lot of people who used to work at Dentsu. But Dentsu is a bit like the Genokai, or a bit like, you know, these kind of industry associations that just, they control advertising in Japan. And to me, the most compelling case of showing just the degree of influence that they have, to me, is the dramatic change in the acceptance of Facebook, when Facebook just decided we are going to we're going to go and pay our respects to the local godfather and sign up and have them make us offers that we cannot refuse. And Facebook took off from the week of the very subtle press announcement that they did a tie-up with Dentsu, which included sharing of collected information, which freaked me the hell out. But it was just amazing, and there are so many other cases. Here's the thing with Dentsu: most advertising companies, you need to get a really clever, you know, campaign, and there are plenty of examples of really good campaigns, because I know some creative people at Dentsu, or I have known creative people at Dentsu, and they get the pick of all the most creative people in Japan, and they get amazing, great creative people. And they actually produce, you know, like on these world best TV commercial countdowns, you know, just about all the Japanese ones are in some way or another connected to Dentsu. That said, of course, Dentsu could literally just put, someone's, auntie in front of a camera in black and white and just say, buy my shit. And that's all they'll actually need to sell, because they will not just make sure that that ad gets out and is the only ad for that product that might be seen. For example, if they're determined to sell a particular product, they don't actually have to try. They will, and not only will they put out a commercial and control the list of other commercials, but they will also make sure that product shows up randomly in TV dramas, variety shows, morning news special segments, and magazine articles, newspaper articles. They will flood the market with information about that everyone will do, because they've got probably blackmail files on everyone in the entire media industry in Japan. When Dentsu wants to sell something, they don't really have to try that hard if they don't want to. Good news is that they quite often do try quite hard, and they make good product, and they're internationally famous company. It's a great advertising company. However, sometimes you get a feeling that they're not trying very hard, but it's just going to work anyway. And a great example of that is that Japan is looking at legalizing casinos. And I'm guessing that all of their creative people may be having influenza at the same time, or colds. And so the idea that their creative people came up with for improving the image of casinos. The problem with casinos is that in Japan they're dominated by perhaps the Macau casinos going overseas, which are seen as more kind of Chinese mafia-ish and a little bit dirty and whatever. And domestically you have these illegal casinos that you often hear about people being arrested. A bunch of news cases lately involving baseball players who went to illegal casinos and got caught and have basically been fired for illegal gambling. Again, you don't want to get in debt to people who run illegal casinos when you're a sports player, and this is the problem that came up. So they're concerned about, when they're actually talking about having the first legal casinos in Japan, how do we improve the image of casinos from these kind of dodgy, underworld, dangerous places? And somebody said, I've got an idea. Instead of calling them casinos, let's call them casinos. Yeah, let's lengthen the I and double up on the S's, and that'll do it. And I'm pretty sure, I'm guessing people in the casino industry know what an offer that they cannot refuse looks like. That's what Dentsu told them that they're going to do, and so it looks like they're going to do it. And because Dentsu is backing it, it's probably going to work. There have been somebody suggested that they do the same thing with pachinko, perhaps. Pachinko. Pachinko has a terrible image in Japan. It is basically legalized, pokey slot machines, and it's with all the social ills that go along with that. Someone was even saying maybe Dentsu needs to work on their own image, which of course the answer just presents itself. They should just become Dentsu. But it doesn't matter, because if they want to make it work, they could sell rice to the Japanese. I suppose they could. I mean, they do. They actually do that. They sell rice in Japan. Even if there's an oversupply, it doesn't matter. I really wish Dentsu would focus their energy on butter. If you're watching this, Dentsu, and I'm pretty sure you are, because I'm pretty sure that you track for people saying bad things about you. And by the way, I love you guys, and some of my best friends are Dentsu people. Open to sponsorship discussions at any time. If you are watching, back butter, please. Japan is having serious butter issues, and I think Dentsu, if you want to throw some light on that issue, please do that. Will someone explain Snapchat to me? I feel old. I feel like my dad looking at Twitter and saying, son, I looked at it. Fuck it. I feel like I've hit that phase, 10 years ago, that when basically everybody over 40 just looked at Twitter and just said, look, I've still got MySpace, I've still got Friendster, I'm just figured out Facebook. Fuck this is just stupid. 140 characters, I don't get it. And so myself and all my generation went onto Twitter, and 10 years later Snapchat comes out. I swear I've looked at it, and I know a lot of people, and I'm running into people now who only have Snapchats and don't have Twitter or anything else. And and you know what, it's funny, I mean, I see Phoenix, you're saying that you hate Snapchat and it's stupid, but everyone's saying exactly the same thing about Twitter, including maybe me when it came out, and now it's like my favorite thing. And I get it has the potential to be great, and you know what, a lot of people, and a lot of very successful and up-and-coming YouTubers, and this is one of the things I'm going to talk about in the happy hour, I'm interested to understand as a YouTuber what are the ways to leverage Snapchat, because I just don't get it. But it's because I don't get it. This is the whole thing. Because people like me don't get it. That's why it's succeeding, and I understand that totally. I feel a little bit sad about it. And I know that the day that I figure it out and I think it's great and that I come on, it's going to be the club will empty and people will go to a new site. But that said, Snapchat has surpassed Twitter. Congratulations to them. Pinterest, I never really got in the first place. I never really got into Pinterest, but and who knows, there might be another thing that will replace it. But if there are people who use and find it, Vero-chan, yes, I said Friendster. If there are people who figure it out, maybe, I don't know, maybe I need to attend a community college class on it or something. And maybe I'm getting to that age that I can show up at a community college to learn how to use Snapchat, at which time, of course, it will just completely collapse. The stock will sink, all the employees will quit, and Snapchat will end, just as I get the hang of it. But it does seem to be relevant, which is kind of interesting. What else we got here? So there's been this rainy season starts this week, or it started this week. It's definitely going to start in earnest tomorrow. There's a heavy rain warning for Tokyo, so take your umbrella out. But my advice is never leave an umbrella in Tokyo on a rainy day in an umbrella stand, because while I've said this before, while Japanese are the most law-abiding, honest, transparent, innocent almost people on earth, crazy. You leave a wallet full of cash on a bus, and I know people have done this with hundreds of dollars, and it's all come back to them. I've lost my wallet a couple of times; it's always come back. I've lost expensive camera equipment, always got it back. It's just insane how, and you know what? To me, this is normal, but nowhere else in the world is normal. You drop a wallet in New Zealand, even you leave a wallet on your desk at work, it'll disappear, and everyone will say it was your fault. Japanese people are amazingly honest. So I guess you're wondering why I'm talking about Japanese people being incredibly honest next to an article about umbrellas. You can read by the title why I'm coming into this. There are two exceptions to the honesty rule that apply to Japanese society, and they're a complete mystery to me. One is umbrellas and the other is bicycles. The bicycle thing, the police have really been cracking down on for a long time. I don't think it's so bad as it used to be, although bicycles are still kind of treated like public property by a lot of people. Ironically, bike thieves in Japan will go for shittier looking bicycles than good bicycles. In New Zealand, if you go show up in a $5,000 expensive, mountain bike at work, some people take the wheels off them to stop people stealing them and stuff like that, because they'll get targeted. In Japan, people steal the crappier looking bikes because they figure that they're practically like a ride-sharing bicycle. And that's how they use them. And so yeah, it's kind of weird like that. But with umbrellas, I don't know how many times I've been in like typhoon pouring rain, and I went into a restaurant or someplace, and I put my umbrella in the umbrella stand, and when I came out, all the umbrellas are gone, including the one that I put in. I don't have an umbrella. The place I'm in doesn't sell umbrellas, and I have to go out into typhoon rains. And to me, that is worse than stealing a wallet full of money. You are actually not just taking possession of my property. Eduardo Huerta, I am indeed live, and you are welcome here, as is Becky Loves Japan. Good to see you as well. That time that you need it the most, they are not just taking your shit. They are pissing on you, literally, with buckets of water from the sky. I mean, it's like having, it's like stealing a life support system the one time that you need it, basically. It's worse than just stealing a life support system. They're actually unplugging the life support system that you need at that exact moment, and they're walking away with it. I know I'm being over dramatic, perhaps, given that we're talking about umbrellas. And maybe I do over-fixate on small things sometimes, but seriously, your umbrella is not safe in Japan, and don't trust. Normally, if something gets stolen, like if a bicycle got stolen, maybe not a bicycle or an umbrella, but something like a wallet got stolen in Roppongi, I'm racist. I'd assume a gaijin did it. I would, totally. Or I mean, again, I've 17 years, I can't even think of Japanese. I can imagine in some really extreme circumstances, but almost never. But I tell you what, if I was in Roppongi and my umbrella disappeared, I'd still probably blame a foreigner, but I would equally blame Japanese in the case of an umbrella. It's a terrible thing. So the Japanese Umbrella Association decided that they would issue these loaner umbrellas for people as they hit the rainy season in Hokkaido, and sure enough, they were shocked to find out that 1,100 of these umbrellas didn't come back. It is the rainy season. Hold on to your umbrella, and you do need it. I'm from New Zealand, and yeah, we just walk through rain, but the rain never really gets that bad in New Zealand. It's just kind of half-assed all the time, a bit like England and other countries like that where people don't use umbrellas. In Japan, the rain is serious, and you do need an umbrella. And yeah, I mean, padlock that shit to you. Seriously, I'm not cool. It's not cool, and I don't. Yes, and this is just proof that Japan has a serious social problem. And Eduardo Huerta says that Scotland rain is awesome. I'm guessing that's relative to everything else in Scotland. Perhaps everything else in Scotland is just so shit that even the rain becomes awesome. Maybe that's it. I don't understand how you could say Scotland rain is awesome, but I guess it is. Congratulations. And Lucas Massa, an etchy umbrella. I don't even know. Maybe I missed something there. I don't even understand that. I'm not going to go there. People who follow me on Facebook know that I have been tiptoeing like a dad, because I am a dad, into Minecraft. I started playing it today. First ever proper session with the lad. And sure enough, after I did all the dad stuff where I went to try to figure it out and find out what it does, and I spent a frustrated hour in create mode, not really getting anything done and wondering how you do shit, and kind of getting bored of it, I turned it on for the lad, and the lad in 10 minutes, he's figured out how to like generate animals, he's figured out how to smash blocks, what I never figured out how to do. He's building shit, and I'm like, dude, how did you do that? And he's like, leave me alone, Dad, I got this. He's like 6 years old. And he's killing me. So I'm copying him, and based on copying my 6-year-old, then I'm figuring shit out that I'm going kind of next level. I'm like making roads and shit, and he's like, how'd you do that? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell you. It's cool. We are doing it just on iPads at the moment, and I understand if you are used to using a PC or something like that, it's probably a lot easier, or a games console. But baby steps. We're starting out with the iPad, and it is cool. And as I figure it out, I've heard about these servers, and these Unrested apparently has a server run by, or is sponsoring a kind of a server run by, the name is in my head, and I was going to say it's like Gerard Ship, but that's not it. But anyway, it turns out people here are crazy knowledgeable about Minecraft, and I really do appreciate all of the moral support that I've received over the last week. And it is really awesome, and they've just released this educational edition, so I'm going to get that. Maybe this is the thing which is going to make me get a Surface, because I think the Surface is awesome, and this is a beast, and I don't want the lad playing with the beast, and this is, fixed in a room. It's a big, heavy, stupid-ass computer, so, for something mobile, maybe this is what will make me get a laptop. It's pretty awesome. I am really impressed, actually. It is like me playing Lego when I was a kid, except it's just boom, it's crazy. So that is cool. Really getting into that. Power harassment cases in Japan. We often talk about power harassment, bullying at work. A record 66,000 cases of consultations with the local labor standards bureaus around Japan. And this is a good point. This is part of the reason I mentioned this. So I do occasionally get people asking me what I do. I'm getting, I'm getting harassed at work, or school's not paying me, or, and I don't really have a go-to answer for that, except to say, this is for everybody to know, there are things called labor standards bureaus. They're located all over Japan. They're run by the Ministry of Health, Labour, Welfare. They're government agencies. And they actually, among other things, they take complaints about work abuse, and they also provide free legal advice. They will actually have days where they will have pro bono lawyers come in and sit in these government offices and offer workers advice as to their labor rights. Usually it's in Japanese, but there again, I know that because it's government run, I'm sure they can arrange, if you do it by appointment, to provide a translator. If you're ever dealing with work shit, this is where you go as the default. If you know a great labor lawyer, or people like that, like a specialist in the field, absolutely, or go to a regular lawyer. It costs a lot of money. But a lot of people, if you are dealing with abuse at work, the Labour Standards Bureau is where you go. And maybe it's probably not that power harassment is worse now than it's ever been. It's that people's awareness of their rights as employees is now heightened, and perhaps awareness and the willingness of the government to track and and take action against serious cases of power harassment. means that we have this record number of cases being registered. It's good. It's a good sign. It means that Japanese workers are, who used to say, if you watch Project X, it was, you hear stories of bosses saying, in my day, they used to punch me in the face for no reason, just for fun. And it was cool, and it built my character. I've heard stories pretty damn close to that, actually. People talk nostalgically about how they were physically beaten until their noses bled by their, old senpais and shit like that. Good news is, one that should almost is unheard of now, and if it ever did happen, you have a place to go, and everyone knows where to go. So that's it. But what else have we got? Harajuku Station. It's kind of weird, so many of my foreign friends in Japan are these preservationists. Whenever any kind of famous building, lots of blue feet there. I don't understand what's happening there. No, I get it. I'm getting trolled. No, well, this is okay. But anyway, stop it. Whenever an old building, when they knock down part of Omotesando and so on, everyone got really upset. And frankly, what they put up Omotesando Hills is shit. I don't like it. New isn't always better, but I like new. And Harajuku Station, they have this kind of Heidi of the Austrian mountains kind of hut there design. And it's been there for like 100 years, and when I saw some outrage on Twitter when they said that they're going to knock it down and replace it for the Olympics. But let me tell you, Harajuku is now a worldwide landmark, and it's always been one of the more crowded stations in Tokyo, and everyone who goes through that station gets funneled through these like really narrow hallways that are actually, I've felt like on Hanami days, and so other days where there are big things going on in Harajuku, it's almost dangerous physically. It's actually, as a train station, it is completely non-functional. So for me, yes indeed, Herb Tokyo, that you can quote me on that. As a station, it just doesn't work, and I don't give a shit how much it looks like, bloody Wagner was writing anti-Semitic operas from it. I would prefer to have a big, black, square, concrete piece of shit there instead of that very attractive, Swiss Alps yodeling school that they currently have. I'm sorry. It doesn't. If it doesn't work, and if there's a chance to improve it, I want them to do that. It will be interesting to see how they replace it. But that station, it just doesn't work. I mean, it's lovely, but it's in a great neighborhood with a really, really shitty, dysfunctional station. So I'm really glad they're going to tear it down. Sorry. I'm not nostalgic about that. Same with the Okura. I mean, the Okura, I know it's lovely. It had lots of, design awards from the 60s. But, it smelled old. It smelled, I love my grandma, but, there's a smell when you go to grandma's house, and that's what the Okura Hotel smelled like. It needed to, there's a certain point that cleaning isn't enough anymore. You have to tear up the carpets and change the curtains and knock out the walls, and that's what they did with the Okura. And I'm not nostalgic about that stuff. So yeah, what else we got here? Masuzo, the Tokyo governor. Yeah, they're coming pretty close now. Where even the LDP, which he's originally from, he used to be a health minister for the LDP, is looking like they're ready to dump him because he's just acting so embarrassingly. And the communists are proposing to pass a no confidence measure against him in the Tokyo prefectural government assembly. And even the LDP said, you know what, at this point, if he doesn't pull his head in, we're not going to say no to it. And that's his party. So he could really be facing, the governor of Tokyo could be out of the job. And frankly, it's not for anything overt in terms of, he didn't loot the bank like arguably, some other leaders of Tokyo have done. But, he just led a little bit too much of a lavish lifestyle on public money, using, for his own personal purposes. It only added up to about 40 grand worth, but his, kind of freewheeling with public tax money expenses and his his explanations for them are just got everybody, and frankly, he's been targeted for a long time. I've told the whole story about this before. He's been targeted for a long time for things that he shouldn't have been targeted for necessarily, for being seen as being too nice to Zainichis or not being right-wing enough or all that sort of stuff. But he's handled this terribly badly, and we could be having, who gives a shit? It's just a local government, but yes, it is the biggest, it is a local government that's bigger than the population of Australia, I think. It'll be really interesting if he gets fired. So there's a thing going around on Twitter, this thing about how, look at how the Google algorithm filters out search results that say that Hillary Clinton is a criminal, and twist the outcomes in favor of her, where it will still say that Bernie Sanders is a socialist and Trump is a racist or something like that. And there's a good explanation here that talks about how, and this is due to previous cases which have happened, including in Japan and Europe and America, of lawsuits of defamatory autocomplete suggestions that have happened if you have anything linked to like a criminal case. Hillary Clinton criminal indeed, or also Donald Trump lawsuit, those results are taken out now. It's not evidence of bias. Well, at least, I mean, the source fed thing looks kind of compelling, and I saw Hikosaemon was telling me that the Freemasons are taking over the country and stop drinking the Kool-Aid, what I call bullshit on it, but it's bullshit, and this explains why, and you should read it if you believe that stuff. What else we got here? If you want to do a job in IT, according to METI, there will be by 2030 789,000 jobs short. That sounds like an overstatement, and someone actually told me that back in 2000 they said that there would be 900,000 jobs short by 2020. But certainly there's no question there's a big shift to IT in the economy here, and the number of people is not changing. Frederick Koenig, yay Croatia. I had a great vacation there, so yay Croatia, although I like Turkish food. I don't know, that's a pretty tough game to call there. Enjoy the Euro stuff. I will let you get back to that in 5 minutes. This is talking about Abe Liberal Icon. He's actively and it's kind of funny because I know some YouTubers who I won't name who were like cheering this guy on as the right-wing conservative, keep foreigners out of Japan, savior of Japan. He's bringing in more of us than you ever dreamed possible. I mean, who would have guessed that we would have 20 million visitors in Japan and all of these liberalized visa regimes to get more and more of us in? It's great if you want to come to Japan, and these things are coming out. So yes, indeed. Just putting the other side of it, but there's if I was given the case to argue against the idea that Abe is Hitler, it'd be pretty easy to do. In fact, it'd be pretty easy to go the extreme other way if you really wanted to, and to the point I think it actually embarrasses him to be linked to being so foreigner friendly and LGBT friendly. I mean, again, on his watch, 4 governments in Japan have passed LGBT recognition. Visas, more foreign visitors than ever, visa relaxing, new categories of visa for foreign workers, anti-hate speech law. I mean, this dude is like the biggest friend of foreigners we've ever had. No one likes him. I feel bad for the guy, never. I never feel bad for him, but I feel pangs sometimes. The other side should be being put there. Toyota, very interesting. They're allowing employees to work from home. 25,000 employees will be allowed to work from home. Kind of revolutionary for Japanese companies, where they not only make you work together, but in the same open space where they can watch you. And there are a lot of people in Japanese offices who think their job is just to watch other people and to make people feel watched without actually doing anything productive themselves. So working from home, but there are going to be a lot of people who, if they are going to be allowed to work at home, are going to take advantage of that. And having worked in a company which allows it, it's going to be really, it's actually kind of hard to do. A lot of, sometimes I prefer working in the office because it's just easier to get stuff done in an office environment than it is in a home environment. I mean, it'll bring up a lot of challenges, but there again, it's going to introduce smarter ways of working. It'll be really interesting as a social experiment, especially given that Toyota is one of the leading corporations that other Japanese companies copy. Maybe it'll make Japanese working styles a little more flexible. Anyway, it'll be very interesting to see. Story down below, the government has now given tacit approval. They will be providing some funding based on certain conditions for funding the conversion of love hotels into accommodation for housing tourists. I don't know, I feel like this is partly it's good and it's interesting, and it's partly a bit of a loss, because I always say to any foreigner who's coming to Japan and planning to stay in hotels, if you get a chance, even if you are not there for the shagging, love hotels, you should just try it. Just one, you get way better value for money, because this is a room. They're not relying on one person paying it per day. They get, a good hotel, a busy hotel will get 5 or 6 people per day, and they're all sharing the cost. They're all paying $80, $90 each. So that hotel is getting $500 a day from the room. only charging people $80. So you get a $600 room. They're spacious. They've got, cool equipment and, rotating beds and, sauna and satellite TV, karaoke machines, video games. So I hear. I wouldn't know myself, but it's kind of, well, if they actually convert them as is, like, to allowing foreigners in, that'd be kind of cool. But I hope they don't lose the there are some upsides to just keeping them as love hotels anyway. So yes, and Glynis, that's very badly timed comment. That 40-second lag, it works magic sometimes, doesn't it? That's right. Wash the sheets and burn the sheets, actually, probably. And don't buy any of the equipment that they sell in the rooms, because I hear it gets recycled. Don't think about that too much. This is the last one for today. Apparently a new app is coming out this week. In fact, I think it's due to come out on the 16th. I think this Thursday. It is a new app called Ucollab. And it's trying to be Tinder for YouTubers, where it will actually geographically, if you are a YouTuber who wants to collab with other YouTubers, you just give them your location information, which is a little bit freaky to me, but it'll tell you if there are any YouTubers nearby you who want to collab. And just like Tinder, based on the beauty of the cat picture that they put on the front, you hook up and make beautiful collab videos together. This is an awesome idea, although I think it is a little bit like 6 or 7, 8 years old, because collabs really aren't that big anymore on YouTube, because everyone's so conscious about self-branding and not so much about, grabbing other channel subscribers. But it's a nice idea. It's one of the things I want to talk about in the happy hour. See what I did there? In the happy hour on Friday, this is one of the things I really want to talk about. What are ways that we can collab? And I think what's really changed is collabs used to be about, hey, I'm going to introduce you to all my subscribers, and I'll, and you introduce me to yours, and we'll both get more subscribers. Let's grow our channels and get higher subscriber counts for higher rankings. And that's what YouTube used to be about. It was rankings based on subscribers. Now subscribers don't mean anything. It just is based on views, engagement, and that's based on branding and monetization. Collabs, where collabs happen and they're actually effective now is more to do with getting a music person and a sound person and an editing person and a front person, and having those kind of teams. I think that's more the way that collabs are going now. But this might still be a tool for that, and it'll be really interesting just to see what comes out of this this tool becoming available. So that's kind of awesome. We're just over the hour now, but and and who knows? Maybe YouTubers will get the wrong idea and maybe they'll actually hook up. That really strikes me as a really bad idea, though. I don't know. Well, it's happened, There are YouTube couples out there, even in Japan, and they're pretty good. Although that's a lot of pressure. Imagine, I should name it. And there are multiple couples out there, of course. It'd be kind of awkward when you've got a brand built up partly around the fact that you're a couple. If you broke up, maybe it'll make the marriages last longer. Maybe it'll make the relationships last longer if they actually hook up. Who knows? This could be a way that you can not only get a more stable YouTube channel, but who knows? I think it's an interesting app, and I might sign up for it, actually. I feel like I can legitimately use this anyway. So that is all the stuff for tonight. I'm not going to make music tonight because I'm not prepared, and I'm tired, and I'm going to get to sleep, and I've got a big day tomorrow. But I hope you enjoyed the show, as we always do. And I see that I'm kind of keeping up with the comments. I'm looking forward to going back and reading this afterwards. And yes, indeed, gents, I'm totally with you. I think it's a really awesome idea. When I saw it, I was like, that's a good idea. And there are already a bunch of people who have signed up for the beta version, but it's going to come out this week, and it's going to be pretty cool. So there you go. And indeed, Robert is a YouTube couple. Any questions from the class? Given the 40-second lag, I'm not sure even if I ask that. They'll probably start coming. This one I'll say there's nothing, and there's just been this awkward long silence, and now I'm embarrassed that I even offered to take questions live now. Now that you have my undivided attention. So I'm probably just going to quietly go out. Now there's an interesting story down the bottom. You slept with a photographer you modeled for once. Nice. Respect. That is the respect symbol right there. Very good, Jenks. I have no story I can compare to that. None. I'm just anyway. Very good. Having you all along. And see you all again, same bat time, same bat channel next week. Of course, 2.5 Oyajis will be back next Saturday. Another episode of Japan Business Time will be on Tuesday. On Friday, happy hour. Jeez, I've got a lot of YouTube shit this week, don't I? But I'll be back here doing this stuff like I always do in my stable, steady, unattractive way that I always do every Sunday. So come and join me next week and have a good week, all you people, and see you at the happy hour if you're in Tokyo on Friday. Yeah, peace. Ciao. It's really hot. It's like 29. The computer in summer now, it really heats up the room. It's like 29. I'm starting to... You're lucky this isn't smell-o-vision. I'll get the aircon on. Have a good night, everyone.